Hey guys, this is Language Engineer. My name is Chris, and in this video we will discuss why do many people think that German is a difficult language. I divided this video into two parts, and this is the first one.
And here is the place where Yusuf also later comes in place. I will give some questions later, and Yusuf will then answer these questions. So here I would like to discuss the question, why do many people say that the German language is so difficult to learn? Germany is, some people say that German is difficult to learn because of its conjunction. Each verb needs to be changed. This makes some people crazy. But let's first talk about the English language, because in the English language we also have conjugations for us, especially for the verb to be. So we say I am, but you cannot say you am. So you need to conjugate the verb, which means you need to say you are. So the verb to be is changing. And you also say he, she, it is. So you have change in the verb again. And in the German language, we do it even more. We do that with each verb. But there are some simple rules, and later you will find out it's super easy. And here I have one example with the same verb, which is to be, and in German it's sein. So now we make a short pronunciation practice with Yusuf, and you can pronounce after me. Ich bin.
Ich bin.
Yeah, very good. Du bist.
Du bist.
And sie, es
Sie, es
ist.
ist.
Yes, very good. And when we look at the words, let me take another color. I will take green. Can you guess what ich means?
I think it means I.
Yes, exactly. And what does bin mean?
It's like a substitute for am in English.
Yes, exactly. So this is the same verb. So this is ich bin, and it means I am. And then we continue. We have du is you, and then we have bist, and this means you are. Du bist. And then he, she, it in German is sie, es. Sie, es. So here you can see that the German language is also doing conjugations. But later you will figure out this is not so difficult. Let's move on to the second part. Why do many people think that the German language is difficult? And you need to know the German language has three genders. So we have der, die, das. And why do we have three? Well, actually, I don't know exactly why we have three, but der is male and die is female and das is neutral. So for each noun or for each object in German, each word has a gender. So let's take the first example. We have der Mann. Der Mann means the man. And a man is male or female, Yusuf?
And of course, male.
Yeah, so we use the male gender, so it's der. You see? It's so simple. And then a boy. Is a boy female or male?
It's a male.
Yeah, it's a male. So we use the male gender again. So you can see it's quite simple, right? Der Mann, because it's a man. Der Junge, because it's a male. And then when we continue, die Frau, a Frau is female, so we use the female gender, die Frau. Then the next one is Blume, and Blume means flower, and the flower is beautiful. I always say to my friends, I always say to my students that a flower is beautiful like a woman, and that's why it's female, right? So it's die Blume, the flower. And then let's continue. Now it's a bit confusing. does not always make so much sense as we have in the examples here. Let's go to the next part here. We have das Auto. Das Auto means the car, and the car is neutral, so we use the neutral gender, das. And then if we talk about the plural, then we just add an S to the car, and each plural in German has die as the article. Here, die is not female, it's just the plural. So you can remember, for all the nouns or for all objects, if you use the plural, it's always die. So this is also quite easy to remember. So there is one confusing thing here. We have das Mädchen. Das Mädchen means a girl, the girl. A girl is female, but unfortunately, in the German language, we decided we make it neutral. I don't know why we do that, but if you learn a noun or any object, you always need also to remember the gender. So just remember das Mädchen, das Mädchen. And then if you make it plural, then it's the same again. It's die, as I said before. No matter which noun you say in plural, it's always die. And there are
One
so
question
many
here.
words.
One question here.
Yes, ask.
So the Mädchen in singular and plural are the same, like Mädchen, Mädchen. Only das and die differentiates between singular and plural.
Yes, exactly. So if you say Mädchen, we don't know if you're talking about plural or the singular. So you need to say the gender. You need to say the gender. You need to say das or die. Then we know it's plural or not. Okay, and but later we will also learn we have the same rule for indefinite articles. For example, a girl. Then we don't say das Mädchen. Then we will say ein Mädchen. But we come to this later. This will confuse too much if we also talk about that. Okay, and now I want to give some examples that you don't need to remember so many genders, or you don't need to remember so many articles for words. Here we have the example, if a word is ending in height, then it is always die. So here we have 3 examples. We have Blindheit. Blindheit means blindness. All the words which end in height are die, because all the words which end in height is die. Okay, so we have die, and also here die. And the only thing what you need to pay attention to is the ending. So you can see they all end in height. And we have the same rule also for words in ending with So, you know, all of them are also die. And maybe I can shortly say what these words mean. Dunkelheit here on the left means darkness, and Schönheit means beauty. But if these are too many words now, doesn't matter. I just want to show that we also have some rules why we have the gender die. So here, as I said, for the other 3 words, it's die. Die Reinigung, die Bildung, and die Beschreibung. And an interesting thing is that actually they come from verbs. So the first one is reinigen, and this means to clean. So we can change this verb into a noun, and then it becomes cleaning. So die Reinigung. I think it's not so important now, but I just would like to show this. So we also have bilden, this means to educate, and then we have here beschreiben. beschreiben. And we can see they all end in en, right? And we just remove the en and put ung, and then it becomes a noun. So later, when you follow this course, then you will notice this is not so difficult as some people say.
I would like to add something here.
Yes, you can.
I think the viewers should not take this difficult because every language has some difficulties and some simplicities. For example, as you mentioned, that in German you have this gender classification. I just noticed that my language, which is Urdu in Pakistan, that's our native language. So we also classify these things based on their gender. Of course, we not use this thus dia. We have some other methods, but we also do this kind of gender classification. So I think uh, this kind of system is in a few languages. So we should just adopt and absorb the language instead of thinking it's difficult.
Yes, right. So if you even have this in your language, then I think it will be even more easy for you to understand.
Yeah, it would be easier.
Because even your language is doing that.
Exactly.
But the English language, they only have the, and they will maybe get a bit crazy, like, oh my God, there are so many genders. Or people from the Chinese language, they even have no gender, right?
No gender.
And then suddenly they need to learn so many genders, or just 3. But yeah, so actually each language has its difficulties. And just right now I talked about Chinese. In the Chinese language, we as the foreigner, we need to learn all the characters. And I think this is more difficult than just remembering 3
huge task.
Right?
But yeah, if you're motivated for any language, just go for it. Simplicities, complexities are in every language. Just love the language and acquire it. Accept its difficulties. So I think that's the beauty of a language.
Yes. Okay, then let's go ahead to the next part. Why many people think the German language is difficult. We have different tenses, but if you speak German, then you also know the verbs are changing. If you're talking about the past, then you need to add ed to the verb. And if you're talking to the future, you need to add will. I will go to school or something like that. And in the German language, we do actually the same. And for maybe some languages, especially the Chinese language, they actually don't have this so much. They will just say yesterday and then they continue the normal sentence. And how is that in your language?
Exactly. We also have we also play so much with the verbs, with the nouns. I think I didn't notice, but when I came in China and studied other languages, then I noticed, wow, the language which I already know, I think it's more difficult in some places. So I think I'm flexible with the languages. I just accept their difficulties.
Yes, and I think later, sometimes I ask some Chinese the question, "What do you think? What is more difficult, German or Chinese?" They all say, "No, German is so difficult."
German, yeah.
Yeah, but I think later, I think after some time, I could exactly ask you the question, not today, but maybe after some classes, because you have made the experience in learning Chinese, and now you start learning German as well. So I think you can later judge what is more difficult for you.
I would like to add one thing here. Most people say that this language is very difficult, or I don't have the talent to acquire the language. Just remember one thing, that you at least learn at least one language in your home country. You didn't even know you are talented or not, you have those capabilities or not. You just absorb the language. So I think no language is difficult. You just grasp that language with the time. So nobody has that extra talent or nobody is dumb. Everybody can learn every language. That's my point of view.
I think this is a very good point of view. I share the same mind. I also think that everyone can learn a new language. They just need to pay a bit time in learning the language.